Have you ever felt like you were walking through life with a heavy backpack that you just can't seem to take off? We all want to feel light. We all want to be happy. But for some reason, we wake up every morning replaying old movies in our heads. We think about who hurt us 5 years ago, or we obsess over a mistake we made last week. We think that holding on to these things makes us smarter or safer. But what if the very things we are holding on to are the exact things that are slowly pulling us down? Today, I want to share a story with you. It's a simple story about a bird, but if you listen closely, you might just find it's actually a story about you. Once upon a time, in a lush green forest that stretched as far as the eye could see, there lived a very special bird. Let's call him Sky. Sky was known for his bright yellow feathers and his incredible ability to fly higher than anyone else. He loved the feeling of the wind under his wings. He loved the freedom. But Sky had a strange habit, a habit that started very innocently. One afternoon, while he was resting by a river, he saw a beautiful, shiny blue stone. It reminded him of the perfect blue sky that day. He thought to himself, "I never want to forget how happy I am right now." So he picked up the small stone. He didn't have pockets, of course, so he wove a small basket out of strong grass and tied it around his neck. He dropped the blue stone inside. The next day, Sky had a scary encounter. A large hawk chased him, and he barely escaped into a thorny bush. He was terrified. Once he was safe, he saw a sharp, jagged gray stone on the ground. He thought, "I must remember this fear. I must remember this lesson so I never get chased again." So he picked up the jagged stone and dropped it into his basket. And so it began. This became Sky's way of life. Every time something happened, whether it was good or bad, he collected a stone. When he found a delicious berry bush, he added a smooth red stone to remember the sweetness. When he had a fight with his brother, he added a heavy black rock to remember the anger. He told himself that these stones were his library, they were his history. He thought that if he threw them away, he would lose who he was. At first, the basket was light. Sky could still fly, though perhaps not as high as before. He didn't mind. He felt important because he carried so much experience with him. He would look at other young birds flying freely and think, "They don't know what I know. They haven't been through what I have." But as the weeks turned into months and months into years, the basket grew larger. The stones piled up. The weight began to change him. Sky stopped flying to the tops of the tallest trees because it took too much energy. He started spending more time on the lower branches. His friends would call out to him, "Come up here, Sky, the view is amazing." But Sky would just shake his head and say, "I can't right now, I have too much to carry." He started to look tired. His bright yellow feathers became dull because he was always exhausted from dragging that basket around. The joy of the shiny blue stone, that first happy memory, was now buried under hundreds of heavy, sharp, and ugly rocks of anger, sadness, and regret. He couldn't even see the good memories anymore. He just felt the weight of the whole bag. One evening, an old wise owl landed on the branch next to Sky. The owl watched Sky panting for breath, his neck bent low under the massive bulging basket. "Little one," the owl said softly, "why do you carry that burden? You were born to fly, but you have anchored yourself to the ground." Sky looked at the owl defensively. He clutched his basket tight. "These are not burdens," Sky snapped. "This is my life. These are my lessons. This sharp one is when I was hurt. This heavy one is when I was sad. If I drop them, I will forget. If I let go, who will I be?" The owl blinked slowly and said, "You are confusing memory with weight. You can keep the lesson in your heart without carrying the stone on your back. The lesson makes you wise, Sky, but the stone only makes you heavy." Sky didn't listen. He felt like the owl was trying to rob him of his past. He thought, "No one understands. This is the sad reality of living in the past. You have to protect your memories." So he hopped away, dragging his heavy bag, leaving the owl behind. A few days later, the season began to change. The air grew cold and the sky turned dark. A massive storm was coming. The wind started to howl through the trees. All the other birds sensed the danger. They spread their wings and took off, flying high above the turbulence, heading for the safety of the warm caves on the mountain cliffs. "Sky, come on!" they shouted. "We have to go! The storm is here!" Sky tried to follow them. He opened his wings. He flapped as hard as he could. He pushed with his legs. But the basket was just too heavy. He managed to lift off the branch for a second, but the weight of all those stones, the arguments, the fears, the old hurts, pulled him straight back down. He tried again. He flapped until his muscles burned. He screamed in frustration. He wanted to live. He wanted to be with his friends. But he had spent so long collecting the past that he had destroyed his future. The rain began to pour. The wind grew stronger. While his friends were safe high above, Sky was stuck on the muddy ground, trapped by the very things he refused to let go of. The water rose and the cold set in. In his final moments, Sky looked at the basket. It didn't look like treasure anymore. It didn't look like wisdom. It just looked like a pile of cold, dead rocks. He realized too late that the art of letting go wasn't about losing himself. It was about saving himself. But he was too weak to untie the knot. The next morning, the sun came out. The birds returned to the forest. They found Sky lying on the ground. He was gone, and right next to him was that silly basket of stones. The stones were still there, enduring and heavy, but the life that had carried them was extinguished. This is a sad story, isn't it? But the saddest part is that so many of us are doing exactly what Sky did. We just don't carry baskets made of grass, we carry baskets made of our minds. Think about it. How many of you are waking up today still angry about an argument you had 3 years ago? That is a stone. How many of you are afraid to try something new because you failed once in high school? That is a stone. How many of you are replaying a sad moment over and over, refusing to let the wound heal? We convince ourselves that we need to remember so we don't get hurt again. We think holding a grudge is a shield. We think guilt is a payment we have to make. But just like Sky, we don't realize that this weight is stealing our ability to fly now. You cannot change yesterday. No matter how much you think about it, no matter how much you analyze it, the past is set in stone, pun intended. But you are here right now. Imagine how much energy you would have if you put the bag down. Imagine waking up and not checking your mental library of things that went wrong. Imagine meeting a new person and not judging them based on the rocks someone else gave you years ago. Letting go doesn't mean you erase your memory. It doesn't mean you're stupid. It means you're smart enough to realize that the lesson is inside you, but the pain doesn't have to be. You can keep the wisdom and throw away the worry. So, as we come to the end of this journey, I want you to look at your own life. Are you flying, or are you just dragging a bag around? It is time to focus on your mental health and realize that true personal growth comes from subtraction, not addition. You need to remove the clutter. Practicing mindfulness is simply checking your bag and asking, do I need this? If you want to find inner peace, you must stop being a prisoner of your history. This is the core of emotional intelligence, understanding that your past does not define your future. By building a positive mindset, you are essentially cutting the ropes of that heavy basket. We often talk about self-care, but real self-care isn't just bubble baths. It's the psychology of happiness, which teaches us to release trauma. This is how you achieve stress relief and true motivation to live a better life. Don't be like Sky. Don't wait for the storm to realize the weight is too much. Untie the knot today. Drop the stones. Spread your wings. The sky is waiting for you. And trust me, the view is much better when you are free. If this story touched your heart, or if it made you realize you are carrying a stone you need to drop, please show some love. Click that like button. It helps this message reach other people who might be struggling with a heavy load. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We are building a community here of people who are ready to fly light and live fully. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, travel light.